When you spend 12 years financing every single milestone for people who call you family, you expect at least a chair at the table. Instead, I sat alone in my drafty auto repair shop on a cold November evening, eating lukewarm leftover turkey out of a plastic container while scrolling through social media. That was when a notification popped up on my phone's screen, revealing a photo album uploaded by my stepdaughter, Chloe. The caption read that she was deeply grateful for her whole family, accompanied by nearly 40 high-resolution pictures of a lavish holiday banquet. I slowly tapped through the album, expecting to see a quick glimpse of myself in the background, but my face was nowhere to be found. Every single photo showed my wife, Laura, sitting beside her ex-husband, Arthur, smiling brightly surrounded by their adult children and grandchildren. They were all gathered inside a fancy private room at an upscale steakhouse downtown, clinking glasses and celebrating together. I was the one who had written a check for $3,000 just 4 days prior, believing I was funding a quiet family dinner that included me. Seeing Arthur wearing a custom suit, laughing heartily at the head of the table while raising a glass with my wife, felt like a brutal punch to my chest. For over a decade, I worked 12-hour shifts 6 days a week at my garage to clear Laura's massive credit debt and put her two kids through college. Arthur had walked away years ago without paying a penny of child support, claiming he was completely broke. Yet there he sat, occupying the very seat I paid for, surrounded by the people who called him the pillar of the family. My mind raced back to every late night I spent under heavy vehicles, wiping grease off my hands just to ensure Chloe and her brother had tuition money. I never asked for fancy gifts or public praise, hoping my quiet devotion would earn their respect over time. But looking at those pictures, I realized I was never regarded as actual family by any of them. I was merely an unpaid sponsor who made their comfortable lifestyles possible while remaining completely invisible during their most joyful moments. I closed my workshop early, drove home in absolute silence, and sat in my parked truck on the driveway until the headlights of Laura's car pulled in behind me. She walked into the house humming a pleasant tune, carrying a bag of leftovers as if it were just another ordinary evening. When I confronted her directly and showed her the pictures on my phone screen, her face flushed red for a second before her expression hardened into cold indifference. She told me calmly that Arthur was back in town and the kids simply wanted their real father there. Laura explained without an ounce of regret that having me present would have made things awkward for Arthur and created unnecessary tension during their holiday. She suggested that since I was always a quiet man who enjoyed peace, sitting out a busy dinner should not have bothered me so much. Hearing her casually erase 12 years of my hard work and devotion to accommodate a man who abandoned them was the moment something inside me snapped forever. I did not raise my voice nor did I throw a scene. I simply nodded and walked out to the garage. The following morning, I called my attorney and instructed him to start drafting divorce papers immediately, along with an asset division agreement. Over the past decade, every property title, business account, and vehicle was kept strictly under my name, while Laura relied entirely on my personal income. I also contacted my bank and canceled all joint credit cards, stopping the automatic allowance that funded her lavish lifestyle. If they wanted Arthur to play the role of the family patriarch, then he would have to start paying for it. 2 days later, Laura tried to process a transaction at a high-end boutique, only for her card to be declined in front of her friends. She called me repeatedly in a frantic rage, demanding to know why her access was suddenly cut off without warning. I answered calmly, informing her that since I was no longer considered part of the family, my financial obligations to her and her grown children were officially over. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening as the reality of her situation finally began to set in. Within a week, the divorce papers were formally served to Laura while she was visiting Chloe's apartment, causing complete chaos among them. Arthur quickly vanished back to his own life the moment he realized there was no free money or comfortable setup left to enjoy. Chloe tried calling me to apologize, claiming it was all a big misunderstanding and that they always loved me, but their sudden change of heart came far too late. I blocked their phone numbers, changed the locks on my house, and focused entirely on my own future. Walking away from a family that only valued my wallet was the hardest yet most liberating decision I have ever made in my entire life. Today, my business is thriving, my home is peaceful, and I no longer waste my hard-earned money buying affection from people who never truly cared. I learned that true family is defined by genuine respect and presence, not by how much you are willing to sacrifice for those who leave you out in the cold.